Have you ever felt like the world is moving too fast, and you've been left behind? While everything revolves around likes, instant wins, and unattainable standards, insecurity creeps in, undermining our self-esteem and clouding our sense of purpose. But what if I told you there's a way to find peace? Not out there, but within. A quiet, unshakable confidence that doesn't depend on other people's opinions or external circumstances. This confidence isn't loud. It doesn't need approval. It stems from something much deeper. The awareness of what's within our control, the resilience we carry in our veins, and the inner richness we often forget to cultivate. Stoicism, an ancient philosophy, may seem distant at first glance, but it holds practical and transformative lessons for those who want to live with greater clarity, strength, and authenticity. If you're tired of feeling adrift, trying to please everyone while disconnecting from yourself, this text will offer you a new path. A path that teaches you how to say yes to what matters, how to handle adversity with grace, and how to build a confidence that doesn't waver, on good days or bad. Are you ready to get started? The art of Stoic detachment. Letting go isn't about abandoning everything and becoming a monk in the Himalayas. The Stoic approach is much more practical and profoundly liberating. It's about cultivating self-awareness to understand where you've been investing your emotional energy. Are you clinging too much to what you can't control? An unanswered message, someone else's opinion, a result that didn't turn out as expected. The first step is to pause. That's all. Before you react, breathe. This small gap between stimulus and response is already a form of control. That's where true freedom is born. The second step is to reflect on your relationships. Detachment doesn't mean coldness, but presence. It's knowing how to differentiate between those who add to and those who drain. People who constantly leave you doubting your own worth may be fueling your own insecurity, not your growth. A simple exercise. Write down 3 names of people close to you and ask yourself, do I feel lighter or heavier after talking to them? The answer is usually quite clear. Stoicism teaches us that wisdom also involves choosing who we walk with. Finally, consider the impact of your actions. Living with purpose is much more than having lofty goals. It's acting in alignment with what you value, day after day. Detachment, in this sense, restores your focus. Instead of chasing external approval, you begin to seek internal coherence. This alignment is what builds resilience. You stop being held hostage by what you expected yourself to be, and begin to live with gratitude for who you truly are. Letting go, in this context, is an act of self-love, and the beginning of your inner wealth. The 7 Stoic habits for success. If you've ever caught yourself saying, I can't handle all this, breathe. Stoicism doesn't promise a perfect life, but it offers tools for navigating chaos with clarity and inner strength. The first habit is cosmic perspective. It sounds like astronaut stuff, but it's down to earth. Seeing your problems through a broader lens. You know that mistake at work that seems like the end of the world? Well, 5 years from now, will you still remember it? This perspective reduces the weight of insecurity and restores a sense of proportion, which calms the heart. Another powerful habit is negative visualization. Calm down. It's not about thinking that everything will go wrong. It's about mentally preparing yourself for possible adversities. This not only strengthens your resilience, how it makes you appreciate what you have today more. Sleeping on a hard mattress for a night, eating something simple, turning off your cell phone for a day. These are ways to reconnect with what's essential. From there, a kind of gratitude that does not depend on great achievements. And that is the foundation of inner wealth. The third habit is the one called voluntary discomfort. Leaving your comfort zone voluntarily is like training your spirit before a storm. Take cold showers, say no when it's easier to give in, wake up a little earlier. All of this trains your mind to endure adversity with dignity. And it doesn't stop there. Dichotomy of control reminds us to focus only on what we can change. The rest? Let go. Write about it, yes, literally. The reflective journalism helps to understand patterns, emotional addictions, and strengthens the self-awareness. At the end of the day, ask yourself, what did today teach me? The answer might be your greatest achievement of the day. Overcoming challenges and making a comeback. Everyone, at some point, will fall. No matter how prepared you are, Life has a knack for surprising us, and not always gently. But Stoicism teaches us that the value of a human being lies not in never falling, but in how we choose to rise. When everything seems to be falling apart, entering ghost mode can be the first step. It's not an escape, it's a strategy. Reduce stimuli, avoid unnecessary justifications, and immerse yourself in silence. It is in this retreat that self-awareness strengthens and a new version of you begins to germinate. Then comes the movement. It doesn't have to be grand. Learning a new skill, for example, is a practical way to channel pain into something constructive. Have you heard of productive revenge? It's transforming the no you received into motivation to build your yes. Adversity, however bitter it may seem, can be the secret ingredient to development, resilience, focus, and clarity. A good example of this is someone who loses their job and, instead of wallowing in self-pity, decides to start a small business with what they know, and it grows. Finally, don't underestimate the power of a support network. While Stoicism values inner strength, it never encouraged emotional isolation. Seeking out people who share similar values, who support your progress, and respect your limits is essential. Sharing your journey, without drama, but with truth, can bring new perspectives. Sometimes, outsiders can see what yours is missing. Insecurity blocks. And when you return to the game after the fall, you come back different, more focused, with more control and self-awareness purpose. Because a true comeback isn't about proving anything to others. It's about finding yourself again. The practice of Stoic silence. In a world where everyone wants to talk, give their opinion, be seen, choosing silence can be revolutionary. But here we're not talking about staying silent out of shyness or insecurity, but rather because self-awareness. Stoic silence is strategic, not passive. It creates space to observe, think, and act with intention. Before engaging in an argument, try listening more than talking. This gives you a huge advantage. You understand the other person better and, at the same time, connect with your own inner voice, the one that is often drowned out by the noise of the world. Furthermore, silence is a powerful practice to strengthen emotional resilience. When you stop reacting automatically to everything, you begin to notice patterns. Maybe that nasty comment wasn't even about you. Maybe that criticism hides someone else's insecurity. Silence allows you to avoid becoming a hostage to impulsiveness, and that's freedom. A practical example. When you feel provoked, breathe and count to 7 before responding. 7 seconds. It may seem short, but it's enough to choose calm over chaos. The next time you face a difficult decision, ask yourself, would I respect myself for this choice? If the answer fluctuates, it might be time to pause and reevaluate. This reflection creates a confidence that doesn't depend on external results, but on true alignment with yourself. The most interesting thing is that this focus on values not only brings clarity but also reduces the weight of the confusing emotions that fuel insecurity. When acting with integrity, rationality and self-knowledge go hand in hand, creating a solid foundation for calmer, more confident decisions. Another step on the journey to strengthening your inner strength. Seek wisdom in voices from outside. Insecurity often thrives in the fertile ground of isolation. Therefore, even in Stoic philosophy, which values inner strength, recognizing the importance of seeking outside advice is crucial. Talking to a mentor, friend, or someone you trust can offer perspective you can't see on your own. A real boost to overcome self-doubt. Think of a situation where you felt lost, but when you shared it with someone, solutions emerged that seemed invisible. This process is a reminder that rationality can be expanded when we make room to hear other voices. Furthermore, sharing helps disarm the bias that reinforces insecurity, showing paths more aligned with your values. But be careful. Not all advice is created equal. The key is to filter what resonates with your self-knowledge and principles. By doing so, you create a support network that strengthens your serenity and clarity, transforming doubts into firm decisions, supported by a foundation of shared wisdom. Learning from experience. Making mistakes and feeling insecure are part of the game of life, and it's not a weakness. It's a sign that we're trying. Stoic philosophy reminds us that true value lies in the reflection that follows action, without harsh judgment. Looking at our own mistakes with affection is what transforms fear into self-knowledge and insecurity into learning. A practical technique for this is post-decision analysis. Take a moment to review what went well, what could have been different, and what you learned about yourself. Imagine talking to your future self, who has seen this situation from afar and can offer calm advice. This emotional distance helps transform doubts into clarity and strengthens your ability to make better decisions in the future. This journey of continuous learning doesn't eliminate insecurity, but it creates an internal environment where it loses its paralyzing power. By embracing mistakes as lessons, you cultivate an inner strength that weathers storms. A strength born of experience, reflection, and a commitment to personal growth. Dealing with hidden biases. Insecurity doesn't always stem from a lack of options. It often feeds on unconscious biases that distort reality. Confirmation bias, for example, causes us to seek only information that reinforces our doubts, overlooking other possibilities. Stoics recommend questioning these first impressions, as if we were playing a game of internal detective. A powerful practice is the pre-mortem. Before acting, imagine that your decision went wrong. What could have led to that? This exercise may seem strange, but it's a realistic way to anticipate obstacles and prepare your mind to deal with them. This way, rationality gains ground and insecurity weakens, because you've already visualized and prepared for potential ghosts. By opening yourself up to this kind of reflection, self-awareness grows along with serenity. You learn to identify and dismantle automatic patterns that sabotage your choices, leaving room for more aligned, less impulsive decisions. It's an important step toward transforming the unknown into familiar terrain, even if it still harbors some shadows. Embracing uncertainty with serenity. Facing the unknown can seem daunting, but insecurity doesn't have to be a prison. The Stoics invite us to play with what-ifs constructively, imagining the best, worst, and most likely scenarios. This mental game isn't meant to fuel fear, but to prepare us and accept that uncertainty is a natural part of life. And this can, in fact, be an invitation to courage. Imagine insecurity as a storm. You can't control the weather, but you can learn to sail. Serenity comes from preparation and attitude, not from eliminating risks. By accepting that life is unpredictable, you can transform anxiety into a driving force, rather than a paralyzing one. This way, even in the face of uncertainty, you stay focused on what matters: your values, your rationality, and your self-knowledge. With this perspective, insecurity ceases to be an enemy and becomes a discreet ally, signaling when it's time to pause, reflect, and act with greater clarity. And then, with patience and practice, you discover that inner strength comes not from the absence of doubts, but from the serenity with which you face them. Now that you've learned powerful tools for transforming insecurity into inner strength, how about reflecting on your own path? Which of these practices are you ready to try today? And most importantly, how can you keep this journey going even when doubts creep in? The key is to stay mindful, embrace your emotions, and act with composure, always aligned with your values. Remember, inner strength doesn't come from the absence of challenges, but from the courage to face them with clarity and calm. Let this guide be a starting point for you to become the best version of yourself, making decisions with confidence and self-awareness. And to make sure you don't miss any tips or insights that will help you further strengthen this journey, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. Let's continue this journey toward calm and clarity together.